All right, so let's sit up straight and tall and take a moment to close your eyes and settle. All right, so what has your day been like so far? Have you, I know it's evening for Ruth, but for the rest of us, it's morning. So, what has the morning been? Did you wake up feeling happy, refreshed? Did you wake up feeling worried or anxious about something? Did you sleep well? Did you not sleep well? How is the outlook for the day? And just take a moment to notice and be present for whatever is present. Start paying attention to the repetitions. Have you had similar thoughts this morning? Do you have a replay button going on? Is there a pattern of thinking that's helpful to you, or a pattern of thinking that maybe isn't so helpful to you? So just notice what you're finding. Nothing needs to shift in a grand way. Just pay attention. And check in with your emotional body, not only the thinking body, but the emotional body. Are you feeling heavy or light, or do you have a prevailing emotional state? Let's check in with the physical body as well. How are you feeling in your body? Are there places where you feel free? Are there places where you feel stuck? How is your energy level? And then, whatever you're finding, let's just offer kindness, sense of care. Can you just witness how you are? Let's begin to bring the breath and wash through ourselves with this beautiful capacity to bring fresh, new energy. So, as you inhale, imagine your lungs being so spacious and free. This beautiful exchange of not only oxygen and carbon dioxide, but prana, this energy exchange that we receive with our breathing. Can you allow yourself to receive what you need and release what is not? Let's place the hands together at the heart and just have a moment to offer an intention for yourself. How can your practice serve you today? Give you the gift of presence, self care. Let's release the hands and come onto our back. All right, so just find your way onto your spine and notice, just the change. So novelty doesn't have to be a crazy new movement that you're learning or some task that you're mastering. It can be simply, I was sitting up and now I'm lying down. Okay, so just try to notice the subtleties of change. All right, let's begin to stretch. Okay, so feel into the reach of your body. So reach the right side, reach the left side, maybe let your hips come offline where you stretch one heel away and then the other heel away. Just enjoy the sides of your bodies opening. Can you feel a little zing in your nervous system when you have a little teeny back bend in there and a little overhead stretch? And then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. See if you can really let the body receive the rock. Vibration, shaking, rocking, all these actions are really good to help our nervous system come into a soothed place. Okay. All right, let's open up the knees, pull them away from the midline, and then bring them back in. And just come into that state of paying attention. How are your hip joints? How's the range of motion in your body today? Find the breath. All right, so right knee comes in, left leg stretches long. Feel a good squeeze in the hip. Feel the length of your spine. Move around in your ankles. See if you can roll your ankles and move your toes, just getting some of that fascia in your feet to wake up and open up. And then change sides. Left knee comes in, right leg long on the floor. And feel into that sense of length in your spine, compression in your knee, compression in your hip. Breathe well. All right, and then bring both knees back in. Just rock again or circle, maybe holding your knees and circle them a little bit so you can feel into the sacroiliac joints, kind of take stock with how the back of your pelvis is feeling today. And then take your knees away from your feet, down on the ground, hip width apart. Open your hands out to the side and just windshield wiper your knees left and right and start to feel into the side bodies, awakening a little bit. Breathing well. All right, roll all the way over onto your right side. You can always support underneath your head if you need to. Stack everything at right angles, knees, hips. Okay, take a deep breath, open up your book. So we're gonna let the left hand stretch over, maybe even touch the ground behind you, and then come back. Okay, and just a couple of more times. Inhale, open up through the chest. Let your spine open a bit, and then come back. One more time. Roll right over onto your left side. Stack everything at right angles, your knees, your hips. Take a deep breath, open up, let the right hand open all the way to the floor, and then back again. Let your breath come in deep. Stretch open your chest a little bit. And then go ahead and roll back onto your back, stretch your limbs out. Starfish, wiggle your fingers and toes out there at the edges of your body. Exhale, curl into a little ball, take a big squeeze. Now we're gonna move with the breath here in a unique way. So spread open again, take a deep breath in, hold your in-breath and squeeze all the muscles you can find in your body. Don't forget your back body too. Squeeze your face. And then let your air out, relax here for a moment, melt. Take another inhale, this time exhale, hold your exhale, squeeze into a little ball. Hold your exhale, squeeze your face, squeeze your core, squeeze everything you can find. And then relax. Take a breath in, head down, feet on the floor. Pause here for a moment and just notice any shifting, just a little bit of awareness, a sense of presence that's coming just by paying attention to the sensations of your body. All right, let's roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. And start moving through some cat-cows. Take your time to let your spine become as free as possible through this movement chain, one vertebrae at a time. How's your breath? Where do you like to inhale in the rhythm of your spinal movement? Where do you like to exhale? There's no rules, there's no rights or wrongs. Just pay attention to how you're breathing and how you're moving. Okay. And then start to move in any way your spine desires. So stay, you can get off the train of flexion and extension, move into lateral movements or rotation. Remember that you have a head and a pelvis that are very much interrelating with the spine. Feel how your shoulder blades and your rib cage interrelate with your spine. All right, and stretch back. Child's pose, walk the hands out in front of you. And now notice just about everything we've done so far is part of our, if you've been with me a while, this is, just a warm up that we often do. And so notice how the sense of routine helps you to kind of steady yourself into now it is time to practice yoga. So routines help us. They really do help us. Our nervous system settles very well. And then over to the other side. Then, of course, the challenge of routine is that it can become mindless, that you can become rote and not have a sense of new or fresh. So the balance between the two, novelty and routine, really are the boon to helping the nervous system stay in concert. And then come back to center, onto all fours again. Let's have a full twist to the spine here. Left arm reaching high to the sky. Exhale and slide that under, thread the needle underneath. Feel a sense of movement where you're pressing that right hand into the earth a bit to deepen the twist, only if you want. So just go where your body says is nice. Relax your neck, check in with the base of the skull. Maybe turn your gaze toward the ground so that your neck and the eyes can relax. All right, and come out of there halfway, child's pose. Your arm is still underneath you a little bit. Just stretch the back side of the shoulder, open your collarbones up, widen them. And then reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Hand comes down onto the ground. Second side, lift that arm to the sky again. Exhale and slide that arm underneath. Gaze toward the floor with your eyes so that you're not straining your neck at all. Check in with the root of your tongue, with the base of the skull. Find your breath traveling into the lungs. Any nook and cranny that you can find, kind of find a pocket that needs some new energy. And then when we come out of the posture, just come out halfway with your shoulders. So you're facing the ground with your chest. Hips go back toward the heels like child's pose. Just stretch the back side of the shoulder a little bit more. Inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place that hand down onto the ground and find dog pose. All right, so lengthen through your body here and enjoy. So we get to pedal our feet. We get to feel into the full stretch of the back body now. As we're leaving the floor a little bit more, we get the sense that our limbs are what's contacting the ground, where our hands and our feet give that sense of yielding so that we root. And then from that rooting, we can rise. The heart lifts toward the pelvis. Notice in your hands and your feet, where's your weight? Can you move a little extra weight into the index finger mounds or the thumbs if you tend to land in the outer wrists or hands? And same with the toes. Can you spread the weight evenly across the 5 mounds of your toes? Enjoy the breath here. Bobble your head. Let there be some ease. See if you can enjoy the fact that your ribs are open for breath to receive, even though you're upside down, which, changes the way your diaphragm works a bit. All right. Let's walk your feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Your knees are bent a little bit, so that's nice and easy on your hips and your hamstrings. Relax your head. Let your spine kind of waterfall toward the earth. Halfway lift, spine is growing. Thigh bones stretch back now. So feel the back of your legs open. So the backs of the knees can open up. The sit bones can lift. Can you feel the stretch across the bottom of your feet? Spread your toes. And then relax and melt again. Knees bend. Drop your seat. Lift your chest. Rise up. Bringing the arms to the sky. Lean back. If it feels nice to do so. Okay. Feel that sense of an open heart. Spread open your wings. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other a little bit. And then release and give the hands a good shake. Okay, let's vibrate just a little bit here so you can bounce. You can even jump if you want. Maggie, I saw your rebounder on screen there. How lucky. If you want to hop on it for a moment. If you anything you want, so just shake. Okay, just get some movement. Let your lymph move in your body. You don't have to leave the floor. You can very much leave the floor. Find yourself becoming more steady. Here we are standing. Let's pay attention to our breathing for a moment here. Just feel into the way the breath moves in you today. Is there anything binding the breath that you can let go of, either physically or emotionally? See what we can do to just stretch the exhales out a little bit longer. Bring your legs to touch, so two become one. We don't typically do a vinyasa with our legs snug up together. So let's just see how this feels. Inhale, reaching your arms up to the sky. Exhale, and float forward. Keep your feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Drop your seat, lift your chest. Chair pose. This might feel pretty, familiar. It's not so much of a novelty to have your legs together in chair. Find your breath. Allow your knees to drop back toward your hips. The weight is in your heels. Breathing well. We're going to come up onto our tippy toes. Keep your legs together if you can. Open up through the chest. Exhale, heels come back down. Flow forward. Bend your knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Legs go straighter. Exhale and come back to a plank with your feet just like this. So you can step back, but we're going to keep our toes touching, big toes touching. So if you typically have your feet apart in vinyasa, just notice the little subtleties of change. Inner thighs lifting to the sky. Find your breath, shoulders away from the ears. Integrate through the core. Turn your navel over to the left, peek out over to the left side. And then back to center and peek your navel over to the right. And back to center. Let's put our knees down. Keep your legs together. Roll the shoulders a few times as you come down onto the floor. So just let the shoulders open. Find your breath. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale and melt back down. So just notice how things feel differently when your legs are together. One more time. And release. And come up onto all fours. Okay, so find your way. Now our legs are still together. We're going to put our hands together as well. So have the line of your thumbs kind of find their way. We're going to come up to dog pose with our hands and our feet together. A little room for your head, perhaps. Find your breath. Notice the precipice that you are on. Notice if you like to lean in your left or your right more. Find the breath. Come forward into a plank just like this. And if anything hurts, because this obviously is not our usual way of doing things, you can always change. Shoulders away from the ears. Turn navel to your left. Find your breath. Come back to center. Turn navel to your right. All right, come back to center. Come back to child's pose. Keep your hands together. Find your breath. All right, now separate your hands, hip, shoulder width apart. Come up onto all fours. Right knee stays down. Left leg out in front of, or out behind you. Right arm out in front of you. Thumb up toward the sky. Find a breath. We're going to open up to the side with our arm and our leg. Toes toward the floor. Thumb up toward the sky. Find your breath here. Exhale, come in on a diagonal and touch your elbow and knee. Inhale, back out on the diagonal. Exhale, come in on the diagonal. Inhale, bring it out. Exhale, bring it back to the long line of your body, hand and foot. Place that hand and knee down onto the ground, change sides. Take your left leg out behind you, right arm out in front of you, thumb up. Integrate through your core. Try to pay attention to your breathing pattern. Even this alone is a novelty in the body to have cross hemisphere work going on. It's not something that we typically do where we're balancing on opposite limbs. Okay, let's go ahead and bring our arm and leg out on the diagonal, thumb up, toes down. Integrate through your core, so keep yourself stable. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, elbow and knee come in toward each other. Inhale out on the diagonal. Exhale back in. Inhale back out. Exhale back in. One more time, out on the diagonal. Come back to the long line. Place that hand and knee down onto the ground. Bring your hands back together, thumb line, toe line, and find your way to dog pose. Deep breaths here. All right, now take your feet wide apart and keep your hands together. Notice your breath pattern shift as your feet widen. Now take your hands to the edges of your mat and a really broad, wide dog pose. Full breaths here. All right, come back to a neutral, just regular old feeling dog pose. Without coming toward a plank, stay in dog pose. Lift your right leg up in the air. Find your breath. Okay. Now we're gonna hover the left hand off the floor. And don't worry if you're like tap, 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 I can't do that. Just try your best to figure out a way to get your hand off the ground. Lengthen through your spine. Don't worry if you're wobbly. All right, and then place that hand and foot down onto the ground. Second side, left leg lifting high. Feel how you're anchored through your hands. Give yourself some roots. Now root a little bit more into the left hand and start to unweight your right hand. And don't worry if your hand doesn't leave the floor. Just unweight it a little bit and just see how far you can get. Stabilize with your core, not with your neck. How's your breath? And then that hand and foot comes back down. Walk your feet forward. Come off your hands now. Relax. Relax your neck. Let it bubble. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt again. Take your feet wider to the edges of the mat. Notice the change in your breathing when your pelvic floor has a little bit more room. Then bend your knees and come on up to stand. Now keep your legs wide like this and just notice, this is not how we typically stand. Find your breath and then reach your arms up in the air. Okay. And just enjoy a sense, we're not super wide yet, like standing pose is wide, but just enjoy this broadness, the sense that you take up more space. Can you fill up the space that you're taking up? Place your hands. Okay. Walk your feet in. Find your breath. Feet hip width apart. Inhale. Rise up. Exhale and float. Step your left foot back. Right foot stays forward to a lunge. Open up through your chest. Let's go back and forth a couple of times, straightening your front leg. Just getting into the hamstrings a bit. All right, now ground your legs. Just ground your legs. Before we rise up to crescent lunge, feel your rooting. And then when you're ready, find your way upward. Now the novelty here is close your eyes. So just see what it might feel like. Even if you just squint and have just the teeniest strip of vision available, what takes over to help you know where you are in space. Ground yourself with your feet. Soften your back knee, let it bend a little bit so you get a little closer to the earth. You feel that sense of ground. Open up through your chest, maybe lean back, maybe open your eyes. And then release the hands down onto the ground. Walk your back foot forward. Notice how much your eyes help you. Relax your head. Halfway lift, spine gets longer. Exhale and melt and step your other foot back. Left foot is now forward. How is it that things are so easy when our eyes are open, and they can get more challenging when they are shut? So just notice and appreciate what your vision's doing for you right now. Let's start to move. Bending your front knee, straightening, check in with your breath. How are you? All right, now ground your legs into a lunge. Yield, sink some roots down, become a tree. Root, root, root. Drop your weight deep into the earth. Then as you're ready, rise up. Try before you even close your eyes, bend the back knee a little bit, or even a lot, so you're a little lower, you're a little bit more grounded. Maybe try taking your front foot out to the side a little bit more, left foot out to the left a little bit more. Try to get as most ground as you can find, as most stability as you can find. And then when you come up, steady yourself, close your eyes, and feel into the body in a different way. Feel into your roots in a different way. Breathing well. It's amazing how even just a squint of vision settles our brain. So play with the squint of vision, play with no vision. Do not attach to results or expectations. Okay. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring your hands down back to a really wide dog pose. Spread your hands and your legs wide on the mat. Find your breath. Come forward into a plank with these really wide feet and hands. Full breaths. All right, now you can walk your feet and hands in a little bit, whatever's going to give you stability in this plank. Lift your left leg and the right arm. Find your breath, find your balance. Try not to let your neck do the work. And then put that hand and foot down. Stay in your plank. Other foot. So we're going to lift the right foot, lift the left arm. Find your breath. Stabilize with your core. All right, put that hand and foot down onto the ground and find the earth. Roll the shoulders a couple times. Wide-legged pose. Everything lifts up. Get your legs wide, get your arms wide. Lift up. Exhale and melt. Put your forehead on your hands. Windshield wiper your knees. Left and right. All right, we're going to come over onto our back. I promise we'll do some standing poses, but let's come onto our back. All right, so some bridge poses, but in a slightly different way. Okay. Have your feet hip width apart. So we'll just start, pretty regular here. Lift yourself on up. Come on up into a bridge. Just get used to what muscles are required to stabilize you here. Ground through the four corners of your feet. Open your chest. Full breaths. All right, now lift your toes off the floor so you're relying on your heel weight. Find the breath. And then put your feet down, four corners for a moment, and then lift the heels. Rely on your toe weight. And just see if you can pay attention to the subtle changes that happen. Okay, and relax and come down. Okay, listen closely. Our arms are going to do some work here with us. So coming up to a bridge, two arms coming up to right over the chest. Keep the left arm up there, right arm comes over your head. And then exhale, bring the hands back together and lower the pelvis and the arms down. Inhale, arms and pelvis up, fingers pointing to the sky. Left hand comes overhead, right hand stays pointing to the sky. Bring the hands back toward each other and lower yourself down. One more time each side. Coming on up. Fingers to the sky, right arm keeps going overhead. Bring the right hand back to join the left. Lower your body down. Come on up. Find your breath. Right arm stays pointing to the sky, left arm overhead. Bringing it back, join the hands, lower them down at the same time. Inhale, pelvis up, two arms up. Bring your right arm out to the side. And now pause here, notice what's happening. Where is your weight of your body? Bring that right arm back, right over your chest, left arm out to the side. Start to notice the amount of work when our shoulders are not in the full placement of bridge. We have a lot of work in our lower body. And bring that left arm back and lower yourself down. Bring your knees to your chest for a moment. Let your back relax. Feel free to sway side to side. And we're going to do some lifts, leg lifts within the bridge pose. So just notice how your back is feeling. Make sure that this is an appropriate place for you to be. You can always come a little lower if need be, if your back is tricky in this posture. Okay. All right, we're going to come up to a full bridge, arms down at your sides now. Okay. All right, put your weight into your left foot. Okay. And then put your weight into your left heel. Lift your right knee up toward the sky. And then place that right heel down onto the ground. Lift the left knee up toward the sky. Just heel on the ground. Okay. And then relax and melt. Okay. Lower yourself back down. Find your breath. Open your legs out to Supta Baddha Konasana. You can always put blocks or fists underneath your forearms for a moment. And bring your arms straight out to the side if they're not needed for your legs. Enjoy the symmetry for a moment. Just breathe into the symmetry of the posture. Of course, we're not totally symmetrical. You probably feel that one knee is lower than the other or something along those sorts. But generally speaking, let the nervous system relax in symmetry. Bring your legs back to neutral. Bring your knees to your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Find your breath. All right, then let's roll over onto our side. And come up to stand. Perhaps you want to go through all fours or dog pose. Maybe you want to just stand up. Okay, we're going to take our legs wide open here. Find your breathing. Okay, so wider stance than we had before, but same idea. Just take up space. Fill up your breath. All right, turn your toes out. Come down like a goddess, and you don't have to go, super deep. You can just be wherever you want to be. So we're going to do some things with the upper body here. Open up the breath. A little bit of symmetry. Cactus open the arms. Okay, and then we're going to stretch into one side. So you can put your hand on your knee if you want. Stretch over, even weight in your feet. Ground evenly. Come back. Over to the other side. Come back. Now, same thing. Well, it's different, but same idea. We're going to lift our heels. So put on a pair of high heels. Inhale, arms up. Find your breath. Interlace your hands behind your head for a moment. Keep your high heels on, and then release your hands over to the side. Back up. over to the other side. All right, and then place your heels back down, standing star. Okay, and then release your arms. We're gonna come into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Let's move a little bit to get here. So just kind of let the hip find its way. And once we're here, bring the arms out. Now, similar to what you did before, lift your heel, your front heel off the ground. Okay, so if for any reason this is not good for your toe beds, then you do not have to put a high heel on. But just see what it feels like to have a high heel on. Drop the shoulders. Let's reach into a reverse warrior. Open up the breath. And then place your heel down. Stretch your legs straight and find triangle pose. Now enjoy your foot on the ground. So sometimes taking away routine and we come back, we appreciate. It's like taking away the vision and then opening it back up. We appreciate all the stability that our regular movement patterns offer us. How's your breath? All right, bend your knee, heel stays down onto the ground. Open up through your chest. We're gonna come back to this one in a moment, but first, let's just rise up and repeat on the second side. Take a breath. Feel free to let your hips move a little bit. Sometimes it's a little tricky, kind of finding your way into the extreme movement. You know, there's a lot going on in your hip for these standing poses. So let's give ourselves a little time. Find your breath. Reach your arms out to the sides. Breathing well. And then when you're ready, lift your heel up off the ground. Shoulders are away from the ears. Try not to jam your toe beds. So where are you lifting your heel from? Can you feel your psoas kick into gear a little bit? Your hamstrings to kick into gear a little bit. Find the breath. All right, and then when you're ready, reverse that warrior. Keep your heel up. And straighten your leg, heel down. Enjoy the heel coming down. You can put your hand on your leg or on a block, whatever feels good for your body. Triangle pose. Now, something familiar is here, so let your body rest in the familiarity. Ground your legs. Open your chest. Enjoy your breathing. Come into Parsvakonasana. When you're ready, elbow on your knee, stretch your arm overhead and enjoy. Ground the legs, feel the heels root into the earth. We'll come back up. All right, so first side, Parsvakonasana. Instead of lifting the heel up off the ground when we come into this pose, I want you to imagine, so instead of like dropping all your weight into your elbow, I want you to get the feeling that you, without lifting your heel first, get the feeling that you can lift your femur bone, okay? That your femur bone can lift up into your elbow instead of your elbow dropping down. And then lift the heel to assist with that and be featherweight light with your weight of your forearm or elbow on your thigh. Place the heel back down, but still lift the femur bone into the thigh or into the forearm. Sorry. Breathing well. All right, come back up. Let's move this over to the other side. Parsvakonasana on this side. Start with your heel down and just try to lift your femur bone up into your forearm. So we're not bearing weight with our forearm. We're just a light placement there. And try to lift the femur bone up into your arm. And then lift your heel off the ground and keep trying to lift your femur bone up into the arm. Find the breath. Relax your neck. Notice if you have a place in your body, oftentimes our neck is like, oh, I'll do that job. A new job? I'll do that job. So see if you can keep the neck at ease. And then place your heel back down. And come on up. Turn your feet to the long edge of your mat and rest here for a moment with a nice wide-legged stance. Maybe your head wants to come onto a block. Maybe your head wants to hang. Breathing well. All right, let's spin back to the front of your mat for dog pose. You can try a novelty of hands together, feet together, or hands apart, feet apart, or just whatever you want. Sometimes coming back to something that's very familiar in the body, you can feel the impact of it on your nervous system. So try that too. Find a pose, a dog pose that's very familiar, and enjoy the rest of your brain, the restfulness of your brain within that sense of familiarity. All right, come forward into a plank. Lower yourself down to the ground safely so you can put your knees down first. Enjoy any back bend that you want. And then relax. Put your hands underneath your forehead. Curl the toes under so you can lift your legs and take them wide apart on the mat. And then lift your legs up in the air from your hips. So just get your outer hips to work in symmetry for a moment. Lower the legs back down. Come up onto all fours and move your spine about. Feel free to sway your hips from side to side or anything that feels nice. And then rest in child's pose for a moment. Notice how the brain rests when you're curled in, when there's a sense of a forward fold, a restorative pose that your brain is cued from the body position to rest. Go ahead and find our way back up. Maybe you're moving through dog pose. Maybe you're just coming up to stand. So however you like to get there is great. Okay, so we're going to come into Ardha Chandrasana, putting some of this unusual work together. So let me just show, when we come into Ardha Chandrasana, we're going to come up onto our tippy toe, which is going to make your balance a little off. So if you feel like this pose is already a little bit precarious for you, you might want to make sure you have something to hold on to, like a wall or a piece of furniture nearby. Okay, so as we come up, let's turn our right foot to the right, or our toes to the right, and make sure your toes are pointing straight to the short edge of your mat. If you like, a lot of times we try to turn our toe in or out to help us have better balance. Let's see if you can keep that long, straight line. All right, so I always run out of room in my living room doing this pose on this angle. So I'm short in my stance, but you can be wider than this if you want. I'm gonna come up into Ardha Chandrasana. Now, before we do anything weird, just feel into the balance points of this pose. Ground yourself. Remember the feeling of your femur bone lifting into your forearm. See if you can activate that a little bit in your standing leg. And then as you're ready, start to experiment with lifting the heel up off the ground. The core is here for you. Feel the outer hip muscles, so lift that leg in the air. Find your breath. Heel comes back down and a big giant step back. So whenever you're working with unusual little movement patterns, make sure that you're not attaching to the results of them. So don't think, oh, I can't do that, I fall down. Who cares? That's the whole point, is to try something different and give your body a outside of comfort zone experience So let go of, I have to do it right. There is no right. It's just an experience of something that's different. So try not to let, if you are a perfectionist, if your brain likes to have success, then success is just being present for the experience. It's it is allowing yourself to go beyond what's comfortable. Okay, so let's find our way to the second side. Toes point straight. Go ahead and lift into Ardha Chandrasana. Use your core. Make sure you're using your outer hips, so lift that leg. Ground yourself. Make sure your standing knee is not hyperextended. Maybe you'd like to keep your hand on your hip or keep your vision on the floor. So find what's comfortable for you and then stretch into what's uncomfortable. Lift your heel off the ground a little bit. Of course, if your toes are unhappy, you do not have to lift your heel. Okay, so find your breath. Try not to hold your breath. Find your vision. Maybe close your eyes. See if you need a little extra challenge thrown in there. And eventually, the heel comes down, stretch back to come out of the pose. Pause in Tadasana comfortably. So feet where you love them to be. Close your eyes. Ground yourself. Ground yourself in Tadasana. Full inhales. Full exhales. Soften your knees. Let your breath travel all the way through to the pelvic floor, the knees, the feet. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale and fold forward. Just enjoy a forward bend. Relax your back, soften your knees, belt your head. Halfway lift. Relax again. All right, so come down onto the ground and you can choose pigeon pose or reverse pigeon pose. I'm not going to do anything weird about this pose. I'm just going to do the pose like we love the pose. So you get to just decide if you like to have support of a blanket. You can use a blanket. So right leg first. And if you're in pigeon pose, I think it's always great to be able to support your head. So putting a block underneath your forehead. When our head is able to rest on something, whether the back of our head on the floor if you're in reverse pigeon, or our forehead on a block if you're in pigeon, it's a cue to the nervous system that all is well. So let's give the thumbs up to the nervous system. All is well. Melt the shoulders. Organize your pelvis where you are in a good spot, where your knee is not tweaked, your ankle, your SI joint, your hip joint, your back. Try to find a place where there's ease within the stretch. Pay attention to all the nooks and crannies. A lot of times when we come to the edge of a stretch point, we can hold tension elsewhere, like in our neck or shoulders or our face or our toes or all sorts of places. So kind of scan your body and make sure that you're able to relax everywhere that does not have to hold support. How is your breath? Can you start to elongate the exhales again? Okay, let's go ahead and find our way out of that side and into the second side. No two sides are the same in our body. So you might be doing a totally different pose on this side. Like maybe you could do pigeon pose on one side, but reverse on the other, or maybe need more support, less support one side versus the other. So just, take your time to find the way that pigeon pose feels best for your body.
melt what you can. Scan for those hidden pockets where you grip or tense. Bring your long exhales into the pose. You are ready to come out of that posture. Let's go ahead and find your way onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest, rock a bit. Okay, see if there's anything that you need, maybe a twist, maybe a happy baby, maybe you're like, no, I feel pretty balanced. So whatever transition you need, take that for Shavasana. And once you're settled, let your body come onto the ground and rest. You need support under your knees or under your head. And take whatever it is that you need to truly rest. Whenever I know some of the poses we did feels a little silly, like something as simple as lifting your heel, but truly when you do something unfamiliar, the brain needs rest afterwards. At any new activity that you do, your brain stretches into that experience. So novelty requires rest. So Shavasana is really important. So give yourself over to the symmetry of the pose, to the feeling of the rhythm of your breathing. Maybe you can even feel the rhythm of your heartbeat. Allow yourself to sink into the familiar sensations of the body, feeling your weight, feeling a sense of ease come over your face and relax.
let's begin to deepen our breathing. Try not to move just yet, but instead sink a little deeper with your body weight. Yield, release into the floor. And just notice the beauty of the rhythm of your breath. The feeling of inhaling, the feeling of exhaling. Get to know the feeling of your brain itself resting. Can you melt the organ of your brain? Let it release into the skull. Melt, broaden, shrink, whatever the sensation is for you. There's a sense of ease and space. And let's take a deep breath in. Start to move a little bit. We're bringing ourselves into the experience of the world again. Okay, so a little bit of movement, a lot of breathing, eventually finding your way onto your side. Bring yourself upright when you're ready. Come to sit. And as you place your hands together, let's find this connection of the third eye, the heart, the hands, the center of our thinking, our feeling, our doing. Rest within the symmetry and the connection. And offer your energy, share with someone who needs your love, needs your care. Namaste.